Well, and welcome back, and today I have a special review of the new Halo Mantis by Jazzware. Now, if you're not familiar with this mech, this is a mech that showed up, I want to say, around Halo 4, and it's been a staple of the series ever since. However, there's not been a lot of toys released of this figure. I think the last main release that stood out to me would have been the Mega Blocks they did, which is actually a great set if you can find it, especially because it had ratcheted joints. So anyway, let's talk about this piece. Now, this is the box that came in, and I'm actually surprised to see it in this box. This is actually a good box as far as shape because it fits a lot on the shelf. That's just something I find impressive when seeing how a lot of people are doing specialized boxes. However, as far as the graphics on the box, it is a little generic. I mean, it has the cues you would see from, I don't know, maybe Halo 3 or whatever, but the design, I don't know, just feels a little dated. It just kind of simple and generic. It's not bad. It's a box, so how does it need to be? However, it does not pop out at me like you might expect with some other box arts. But in the back, you can see some of the other stuff from the line. We have an image of the actual figure, and we have a little window with the pilot. But all in all, it does its job. So anyway, let's get out of the box and see if it's worthy of our collection. And here we have everything out of the package, and the Mantis is actually quite big. Before we go any further in a review, I would like to sort of point something out. Now, I know some people watch reviews because they want to validate how they already feel about a toy or their expectations, excitement for a toy. I would rather be honest to you guys about how I actually feel about something rather than just hype it up to make you feel good about buying it, because you may not want to buy it if you know what it's really like and you don't want to be disappointed. So that said, I'm going to talk about the goods and the bads of this, and so you can really get an idea of what to expect, so you can decide, maybe I should wait for them to do a premium version, or this is good enough for me. So anyway, here is the pilot out of the packaging. And overall, I mean, there's sort of this very soft look to him, a little gummy looking, minor paint and details. So it's very simple. The figure overall, though, does look decent. I think it's something that sort of fits in with the simplified aesthetics that's coming out more so these days. People have grown to expect that and like that. However, depending on what you want out of your figure, this may be too simple for some. But he comes with a little shotgun here. As far as articulation goes, his head can rotate. His shoulders can move. And there's a little bit of clicky in there. The way the joints are designed is they have the little tooth on them so they can catch. And we have some rotation at the bicep. We have an elbow. We have some wrist rotation and can tilt in and out. 2 fixed poses. The hands, actually, the grip's not bad. Some action figures tend to have sort of a action, gun type grip, and it just doesn't work very well. I like something that's somewhat neutral, so when they're not holding a weapon, they look fine. A little bit of waist rotation, which is actually up here in the torso. It allows a little bit of bending. The hip, we have this movement like so. It can't go out very far, and it can't go back very far because of armor impact. Then the knee, we have a double jointed knee, and you can see here what I mean by the gears or the teeth. But when you bend it, everything's so gummy and flexible, it's not going to be a great thing to bend, especially considering you can't move the leg back. There's not a whole lot you can do with that pose. You could mess with it, and you can get it to bend, and once you get it to bend the first time, it should be better. But that said, that is probably one of the weaker points on this whole figure as far as that leg goes. And then on the ankle, we have back forward and tilt side to side, and it's got some nice clicks in there as well. So all in all, the figure's okay. There's nothing really premium about it, but it is a decent action figure for what you get. And just for size comparison, here is a Joy Toy action figure who is a little bit shorter, but since these take pilots, it gives you an idea that what's kind of compatible if you want to sort of share them across lines. But as you can see, when you have a somewhat like around $30 action figure versus when it's included with the entire toy that's $40, there's definitely a level of detail and paint that's going to be very different between the two. So now let's go on to the mech. And about the mech, there's one piece of instructions in here, and it just sort of shows how to arrange it and put the torso together, because that's how it's shipped, is separated like that. All right, so we are going to have to go wide angle mode because this guy is huge, or at least much bigger than I expected. And to give you an idea of height, I would say he's between 14 and 15 inches total. So it's a pretty good size figure. Now, actually getting the figure out of the box is really where it sort of dawns on me what type of action figure this is. This is not at all a premium figure. This is a toy. And in some respects, some elements about this toy are not great. They're actually kind of disappointing. And I want you guys to know that before you get into this, because this could definitely be what makes or breaks it for you. So we have articulation. We've got the rotation of the torso, which is not bad. We have a joint here, another joint here, another joint here, and some rotation here. Now there's some areas that look like they should rotate, but they don't. And the way the plastic feels, I'm afraid that if you put too much force on it, it will break. The plastic is not of the best quality. It's not the worst, but it doesn't seem like it has a lot of give. So if you're going to push on it, you're going to run risk of breaking things. Another point of articulation, we have a double hip joint, which is pretty cool because you can actually make it even taller if you wanted to. But it sort of helps keep the thigh out of the way of the torso swivel. And then here at the knee, we have a bend, which is pretty tight. And like I said, you don't want to put too much force. We have another bend here that moves like so. And then we have full movement at the feet with rotation, all that. But, it moves and it's okay. And it seems to hold itself for the most part. But that plastic just isn't the best. And so you don't want to do a lot of force. There is another point of articulation here. And that is the cockpit, which as you can see, it does have a molded chair in there and some joysticks. But it is super simple. And that's sort of what comes in line with you're getting a $40 figure. And I think where this is sort of making up its price point is by size. That's the trade-off. You either had something that was smaller and far more detailed, or something that is massive and fits in the whole scale of the line and is going to have some drawbacks. Now, here is who I think this would be perfect for. One, this is going to be good for people who want a Mantis, because there's a chance this is the only Mantis we ever get. Same thing happened with Titanfall. And speaking of Titanfall, let's go ahead and bring BT out here just for scale, because the figure size is around what would be about the same as far as scale goes. But as you can see, this mech is considerably larger than BT. But also, if you look at BT, the paint application is so much better. But this is where you have a $30 figure that's on its own versus a $40 figure a few years later, as there's been inflation and oil prices gone up and all that stuff, and how toys are sort of leaning now. So if you're wanting to, pose them together, there's definitely a juxtaposition between the quality of the two if you're wanting them on the same shelf. But that's where I think this really fits for other groups of people. So you have the one that would be just a person who wants a Mantis, and this is their only shot, because it could be like the Titanfall figure, which I bought that when it came out of the store, and now it's worth a lot of money because they've never made something else, which is a shame, but that's sometimes how licensing goes when it comes to toys. The other thing is a person who might be into model kits, because even though the plastic's so okay, I mean, it's not the worst, but it's could be better. There's still molded detail in here. There's still places where this could look better if a person was to go through and maybe do some panel lining, add some paint distressing, things like that. Some weathering. Now, a person who wants to treat this like a model kit, this is perfect. You could clean up the seam lines. You don't have to do that. Even just add some distressing and weathering and things like that. I think this would be sufficient for a lot of people that want in that respect. But for someone who just wants, so even this doesn't move, just wants a solid looking high-end figure, this is not it. And I'd rather you guys hear it from me before you go and get disappointed if you have to go hunt for it, because this might be hard to get. But I don't want to be completely negative about it. It still is pretty cool. It still is massive. It has a presence to it. It is something you could probably still mess with. And if we want to look at how he fits in the cockpit, we can just drop him in. His hands look like they would just click on the thing. And like so. Let's see if it closes on top of him. And it does close. So I'm not going to spend too much time with that, but you get the idea that he does fit in there and it can close with him in there, which is sometimes an afterthought with some of these mech action figures. Now for the big question, is it worthy of my collection? I really think I need to spend more time with this piece. These are just the initial thoughts. This is how it makes me feel right away. I think if I have it for a little bit and I feel like that I am okay with its plastic and then it does sit somewhere in my collection, which it really doesn't fit in super great because it's kind of lower quality looking compared to a lot of stuff in my collection, I might just return it. I don't know if it's really suitable for my collection, and that's a question you need to ask yourself. And if you find it fits in, or if it at least represents the character enough for you, then sure, go for it. But like I said, I don't want to be doom and gloom, I just want you to know what you're getting to. But like always, make sure you like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments below if this is worthy of your collection. And we'll see you next time.